So, ladies and gentlemen, I want you to give a very, very warm welcome to our speaker this morning, Vanda North.
Thank you. Thank you. Thanks very much. Good morning. I am thrilled to be with you, and just apologize, my dear friend Grace, who's also my right and left hand today, is helping out. So we are thrilled to be able to be with you to share something that will take only 8 minutes of your day, but I can tell you make a really positive difference. Even if you're functioning really well right now, there's always times in life when things give you a little bit extra that you have to be able to battle and overcome. And it's good to be able in those times to know that you are resilient. And these little 8 minutes, these 8 steps that take 8 minutes, can give you that resilience so that you know whatever life throws at you, you will be able to come out better at the other side. So if you'll excuse me, I'll now slowly perch myself on the little throne that they've given me. Thank you. Now, I'm going to go fairly fast because we have a lot to cover. However, I am delighted for questions. I can't see you back there very well because the lights are on me, so you'll need to yell or something. We'll have some questions at the end. I will be down at the bookstall during the coffee break, and I'm happy to chat with anyone. So, it's to improve your resilience, manage constant change. It just never stops, does it, this change? And remove the strain from stress. Now, I'm going to explain a little bit more about that. Maybe some of you, or somebody you know and care for, is feeling a little stretched, a little bit like they're just on the thin hanging in there. So let's look at stress and strain. My father was an architect, so I grew up learning about stress. But what he was talking about was the amount of weight on a wall by the ceiling and the rest of it. And if there was strain, it would show by it starting to crack up. Now we start to talk about ourselves being stressed. And it's rather funny that we're the same. When we are strained, we start to crack up a little bit. Now here's some bad news. If you're alive, and I think you all are, you will be stressed. But the thing for us to look at is that stress can happen without strain. And we want to be sure that we know what those two differences are. So we're going to look at it. First of all, are you feeling the strain? And now you may have some colleagues who blow their heads or do the screaming habdabs. Do you have family members or colleagues? Ah! What we want is that you are able to have stress but still keep functioning, not have it start to take a strain on you. That's the really crucial thing. Now, here's an interesting one. Within a family or a group or people you're working with, something can happen. And have you noticed everybody responds differently? Some people are going, that's not a big deal. And others are going, end of world. So what we must really remember is how each of us responds to that strain is different. We mustn't judge, because I may not be strained by it, you may be, or round the other way. And that's important for good relationships for us to remember. Now the positive, what do we want to build? We want to build resilience. Now, resilience, stress, let me go back and saying, if you're alive, you're stressed. Stress is the lights on us, the temperature, whether you've had breakfast and you're too full, whether you didn't have breakfast and you're slightly hungry. All of the physical things are constant stresses on us. Then we've got what's going on with our relationships, how happy we are, whether we're feeling on top of control of what's going on. All of that is a constant stress. So that's happening, but the strain is whether we're starting to deform. And we'll come back to that when we get into the 8 steps a little bit more. But what we want to head towards is building our resilience. That is the ability to momentarily deform. In other words, if it's stressful and you're taking the strain, that's natural. That's what you should do. But what you want to know is that I'm going to be able to bounce back. So resilience is bounceability. Isn't it rather nice to think of ourselves as being bounceable? I like that one. So can we tug on you and know that you're going to come out all right? Now, I'm sure you've all heard of the fact that we're wired for stress, for the strain to show. And it's the usual fight or flight, but there's a third one. Do you know what the third F is? Fight, flight, and... Yes, well done, whoever you were back there who said that. Freeze. And so there we are, frozen. So fight, flight, or freeze. Now, this was fabulous. Well, could have been fabulous in the old days when... Come forward. Sorry. There we go. In the old days when there were wildebeests. But I don't know about you. Have you seen a wildebeest the last few days in Glastonbury? I don't think so. Now, see, when it was eat or be eaten, fight or flight was good. We were either going to fight, I get lunch, you get lost. Or we go running and we hope we run faster than the wildebeest. So there are no wildebeests around about here. But what we do have is something that is just getting a little excited here. Excuse us for a moment. There we are. This is the wildebeest of today. And it is, you see people, the minute it makes that noise, everybody, have you noticed this? Tightens, twitches, pats their pockets, their bags. It's gone off again. Now, Professor Goodman, that I had the pleasure of working with, an amazing man who talked about the fact that in the old days, when it was a wildebeest, what happened was we would spike with the strain from stress. But then the wildebeest would go and another one wouldn't come along for quite a while. So we had a chance to get back down and be relaxed and normal again. But with the phones and with today's pace and with everything that is going on, we get a peak and we just start to come down, and then there's another peak. And then we try to come, and then there's another one and another one. And many of us are functioning at this constant, strained level. And our bodies are amazing. They're wonderful, incredible. But there is a time when they say, ouch, this is a little bit too much. I can't keep this up. And that's when the strain starts to show. So we need to be able to keep ourselves bounceable. Now, I wasn't able to make this questionnaire for you, but if any of you want, at the very end, you'll see my email, which is very easy, vanda@mindchi.com, and I will send you these because there's a questionnaire for stress and strain. There's also one for resilience. And what I really recommend, please, to make this precious gift of your time worthwhile, is that you get those. You then fill them in for now. How are you functioning at the moment? And then you do this simple little 8-minute process that I will have taught you by the end of my time slot. And then 28 days later, you take the questionnaire again, and what you do is you fold the now bit over so you don't influence yourself. Take it again, and then look and see, has it made any difference for you? It was free, you can do it. If it has made any positive difference, well, then it's worthwhile keeping doing. So that's for, just give me a little squeak on an email, and I'll happily send it to you. So work-life-related strain comes from lots of different things. It's built up over time. It's little things, big things, little things, everything thrown in together. And what happens eventually, I've lost a piece of that. What happens eventually is that it's one silly little thing that makes you blow, doesn't it? Have you seen this? people are going along and you're thinking, wow, aren't you doing well? You've managed this, you've overcome that. And then someone leaves the top off the toothpaste and they go, boof. What we want is to try to get it sorted before that happens. That's what we have to try to do. So, mind chi. We wanted to make it really easy. If people are coming in at the last minute, there's a few seats wiggly woggly. Feel free to come down and snuggle in. Your neighbors will be happier for that, I'm sure. If you've got a seat by you, do you want to wave? Then people can come. Lovely. Thank you. Okay, so there are 8 steps. The 8 steps are divided like a pie into 4 yummy pieces. And in each quarter, there's 2 steps. And we've tried to make it very obvious. So the first step is start. Hello, that's a bit of a giveaway. So here we start on the first one. The 2 steps in here, first is a breath, because breath is the key to managing your body. And the second is the focusing of your mind. I'm going to go over the 8 very fast, and then we'll do each one individually. The second, we go past. So the second quarter is past. And what we do here is we look at the past 24 hours. And we look at the things we wish we would have done differently. And we look at our successes. And we do that every single day. And the cumulative effect of that is quite amazing. And again, I'll do a lot more detail when we get into each one. The third quarter is where we come into now. Now, all the great teachings say that what is important is to be present. What is important is to be in the now. And yet, I haven't seen an awful lot of what I call really practical, down and dirty, how do I do that? So I am going to give you your way to check your beat. And your beat in the moment tells you how you are now functioning. And if you are not pleased with any aspect, in the now is when you get to change it. And it's only in that moment. So that's the third quarter. And the fourth quarter, we go into the future. First of all, we go 24 hours forward. And then our final of the 8 minutes is a minute of gratitude. Now, isn't that fairly straightforward? Simple? It was the best of everything that we could find, that we knew, that we had practiced, that we had taught, that we used ourselves, smushed into a tight amount of time so that anyone who is feeling some strain or anyone who wants to live to the maximum of their ability could have the skills and the strength to feel they were in control of themselves regardless of what was going on around them. Now, when you write a book, you have to have some extra fun. So what I did was to create a little character called Chi. He's that little round kind of head that you see up there. How many of you have a voice inside your head? Let me see a wave of a digit. Yes. More than one? Several? Have arguments with yourself? Yes. So what I've done is just give those names, those voices, the name of Chi. Some of those Chis are very helpful, and there are some that aren't there? There are some that are constantly having a little nig-nag at us. So we'll talk about that. But the Chi voice generally is extremely important. It is your awareness. It is that kind of sixth sense, your intuition. It is your, and you know how you sometimes learn something, you go, whoa, that's really good. It's your power of your free will and your free won't. Now, I knew about my free will, and that was, like, yes, okay, we have to build our free will. But my free won't. So it's really fun to exercise your free won't every now and then. So it's your intuition. It is crucial to get it on your side and have it help you to be the best that you can be. And your Chi wears many hats, and we want those hats to be all the good ones. So, we start with the first quarter. The start, the first step of the first quarter is breath. Now, as you're sitting nice and comfortably, and I hope maybe both your legs are flat on the floor because that's better for your sciatic and all those other kinds of bits to you, place one hand high on your chest and the other on your six-pack, even if it is slightly hiding. Now, what I'd like you to do is several normal breaths. Just breathe in and out, just a couple of breaths, and monitor, if you would, which of your hands is moving more. So just have a little check-in. Okay, so let's see what's going on. How many of you is it the upper hand that is moving a little bit more? Okay. How many of you is it the lower hand? How many of you is both hands are about the same? Okay. How many of you there's no movement? Okay. Whew. That was good. All right. Breath. I'm sure lots of you have done study about breath, and so I may not be teaching you anything new, but just to say how crucial it is. And what happens is when we're stressed is that we frequently end up taking small, shallow breaths just up here. It's like a little child who's anxious about something. They come running to you and they go, these little breaths. That's when our brain doesn't work. It's when our automatic response into stress and strain starts to happen. It is also, therefore, the way that we can turn the route around completely and have it being from negative into positive by doing a particular breath. And we've selected one that we chose very carefully because we wanted to have one that required your attention. And we've selected one we call the Mind Chi square belly breath. And what this means is that we will breathe in this case for about 3 seconds, because I think you'll find that comfortable to do. If you do breathing exercises normally and on your own you want to go longer, that's fine. But just make sure that each side of the square is the same amount of seconds. So you breathe in this case, for 3 seconds. I will lead you. Hold for 3. You breathe out for 3. And if you can, stay empty for 3. And then we start the square again. And your minute is 5 of those. So that gives you your minute nice and easily to do that. And by focusing on the breath and really concentrating on it, your body says, that person who cut you up in traffic, I don't need to carry that. That person that I saw that said something nasty, I don't need to have that have a negative effect on me. It just protects you. So, if you're ready, just sit comfortably. You can have your eyes open or your eyes closed. I don't mind which. I will help you with in, hold, out, so you know what you're doing. And you can just relax and go for it and do your breathing. Any questions before I do that? Does that make sense? Are we happy? Shall we do it? Good. I've got a little clock that comes up. Oh, normally it clicks down. Okay, there's something we're missing on the bit here. All right, I can time it, no problem. If you're ready, we will start now. In, 2, 3, hold, 2, 3, out, 2, 3, empty, 2, 3, in, 2, 3, hold, 2, 3, out, 2, 3, empty, 2, 3, in, 2, 3, hold, 2, 3, out, 2, 3, empty, 2, 3, in, 2, 3, hold, 2, 3, out, 2, 3, empty, 2, 3, in, 2, 3, hold, 2, 3, out, 2, 3, empty, 2, 3, and please breathe normally. That's your minute. And I really suggest any moment you start to feel just a teeny little bit of tension, just do that breath, because it focuses you and it says to your brain and your body, I'm holding the reins of control. I choose not to take strain from this stressful situation. Gives you those reins. Step 1. That wasn't difficult, was it? No. And neither are the rest. So marching onwards, marching onwards, marching onwards. Yes. Step 2 is to focus your mind. Now, this is a really interesting one. Again, many of you will have had a lot of experience with this, I'm sure. So this is just another way of saying to your mind, I'm in control here, rather than having it do what I call the chicken circles, you know, when it's running around, blah, 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 just clattering away. And what you do here is this, for the minute, and I will time you for the minute in a moment. Actually, Grace, do you have a timing thing nice and easily? Because I thought I've got a little clock that I built in there. Can you do that? Brilliant. So what we will do in a moment is we will begin, and you will close your eyes, do whatever you need to do, and you will focus on thinking just one, 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 one. And that will be all you will do for this next minute. 1, 1. Now, what normally happens is you get started and you go 1, 1, 1. This is easy. Oops. The minute you have another thought, you go up a number. 2, 2, 2. What am I having for supper? Oh, 3, 3, 3. So what we're doing is just saying, hello brain, what's going on? And eventually what happens is you get better, particularly when you're knowing that you need to be clear and crisp thinking, and maybe the life is fragmented a bit at the moment. It's a way of you knowing I'm holding the reins of my brain as well. So are those instructions clear? Are you ready to give that a go? All right, so here's your task, is to 1, but every single thought that comes in, like a tickle on the end of the nose, so give your nose a scratch now so you've got it done with. Yes, very good. Every single thought is up 1 number. And Grace, bless you, if you could start us off. She's waiting. Okay, start. Stop. Okay, how did we do? Let's see. Those that were more than 10. Be proud, nothing wrong with it. I was more than 10, yes. Somebody once got to 60 because they counted each second. These things happen. Between 5 and 10, how many between 5 and 10? Very good. All right. Between 2 and 5? Excellent. How many were still on 1? Oh, bravissimo. Well done, well done, well done. Okay. And please, this is not a right or a wrong. This is just like looking in the mirror in the morning and seeing if number 7 hair is in the right place. It's just, this is what my brain is doing at the moment. And you use that information. So if you've got to do your income tax and you're at 50, by the time the minute is up, you decide, maybe I need to do something to clear my brain, calm me down before I focus. So you just use this as information for how you're functioning. But after time, you'll find that you get better and better at holding those reins of control and keeping it at least closer to under 5. So that would be good. So that's the first part of the pie, the start. The breath, and then the focusing to say, body, I'm in control, brain, I'm in control. Which gets us now to the second part of the pie, the past. And there are 2 parts to this. The first part of the pie is to just become aware, and I'm married to a medical research scientist, so he questions every single piece of statistic that comes out, and I have to say that this one is questionable. But what I will say is that for many people, much of the thinking that goes on in their heads is, unfortunately, negative. And we have this chit-chat, that's the bad G, that we're not very happy with, going on much of the time. And so for you to think for yourself, because yours is the only mind that you can control, during the day, how much of it is on the negative side and how much is towards the positive, and to become aware of that thinking and trying to help you have the most positive thinking that you can. Now, a lot of people say, why would you take one of your 8 minutes to look at the negative? And the reason for this is very important. It's not that we dwell on the negative. It is that what we do is look at how we can learn the lessons and then let the past be past. So what we do here is we think of the past 24 hours and we say, okay, was there a time when I said something that I wasn't really very happy that I said? Was there a time when, maybe nobody else knew, but you knew in your heart of hearts, that wasn't me being my best me? And it's usually with those closest to us, it's the ones that we love most, that we do these things. And so what's really important is we become aware and we say, what would I have rather done? So even though I have done this for a lot of years, I have to confess, sometimes I snap at my husband. And so when I do, I now try to quickly fix it. I try to be more and more stopping me from doing that and put strategies in place. So you're going to go back over the 24 hours, either from now to 24 hours ago, or start then and come forward, whichever way, it doesn't matter. And on whichever is your non-dominant hand, the one you don't write with mostly, you will count those negative times. And you're only quickly thinking about them, and then you quickly go on to think, should that happen again, what would I have rather done? That's what we're focusing towards. So you count how many of those there are, and then at the end of the minute, I'll tell you what to do. So you clear with that? We're going back over 24 hours, looking for those little times when we think, I wish I would have done this rather than that. Okay? Clear? Any questions? All right. Grace, how are we on the, or I can do it actually with this. Let's, if you're ready, start now. Okay. Now, the hand that you have done the counting, just thank them for the lessons and wipe or blow, get rid of them. Because what is awfully important is the past is past. And it's crucial that we let it go and don't bring it alive in the now. So once you've learned the lesson, you say, thank you for the lesson. I will go on and try and do that next time, and I can let it go. But to counterbalance that, we have the next minute. And the next minute is thanks to this gentleman who has finally done some positive psychology, looking at what's right about us, looking at how we can increase the good things. And so what we're now going to look at is for the next minute, and we capture this on whichever is your dominant hand, we capture our successes. The little successes, the big successes. I happen to be dyslexic. And if any of you are, you'll know that a form is just one of those things we do not like. And so when I have to fill in a form, it gets tucked under things on my desk until the final moment when it's a crucial moment. And I finally get that. Now I'm going, well done, Vanda, you filled in a form. Most of you would think, you're a big girl, that's not that difficult. So you don't know what's a big thing for everybody, but you do for yourself. So if you've put in effort, if you know you've tried hard, regardless of what the outcome was, regardless of if anybody else knew, but you know you tried hard and you're proud of your effort, then you count that as a success. Any little thing and big thing, that cup of tea that you made that was just perfect, just the right color, just the right temperature, that's a little success. And you grab those little successes as you go. So now, 24 hours, exactly the same, the past 24 hours, catch your successes, count them on your dominant hand. Any questions? Clear with that one? Right. Off we go, start now. Excuse me, and time is up. So these that you have on your dominant hand, your successes, these we hold on to, these we grasp, because these are our successes. One of the things I've discovered, I do coaching and mentoring, is that an awful lot of people have a very small self-concept, and it doesn't take a lot for it to feel fairly knocked and dented. This is one way every day you build your own self-concept. You take all those little successes and you pop them into your success bank. If you want, you could take lovely bright colored little notelets and write them on the notelets and put them in one of those lovely glass fish bowls and see your successes growing so you visually can see that you are successful, that you have the strength and the confidence to be able to be the fullest human being that you can be. And that's what's so important. So you see how those counterbalance each other. If we're to grow, we need to look at how we can improve. And the little steps of every day mean that we just keep refining, working. And that's very, very positive. One time I bumped into someone, I taught them this, and I said, "Are you still doing your mind chi?" And she said, "No." And I said, "Why?" And she said, "Well, this is a little difficult actually." And so I said, "Okay." And she said, "Well, I got to the point where there were no negatives." I said, "Fabulous! 2 minutes of success." This is to work for you. So you take this and you make it fit. But you will still find, I'm sure, someday there may be just a teeny little thing that you might improve. So do 2 minutes of success until you get to that day. Right, marching onwards. Okay, steps 3 and 4. Keep the lessons that you've learned. Keep your successes. And please remember the past is past. I'm sure you all have people who keep bringing up the past. They're making it live in the moment. And it's their choice to do that. And sometimes that isn't good for them or you. Which brings us to the third part. Are you all right? I was going to have a wee break, but the time is marching on. Are you okay? Do you need a little shuffle in your seats? You're sitting there so quietly. Are you all there still? Good. Okay. Are you awake? Yes. Hello. That's good. Woohoo! Excellent. All right. Third quarter. We're now got to the now bit, which again is such a crucial, crucial thing. Hands out, either one, whichever you want. Thumb touches the first finger, B for body. Thumb touches the second finger, E for emotion. Thumb touches third, A for action. Thumb touches fourth, T for thoughts. Your beat, ba-boom, boom, boom. Your beat in the moment. Let me explain each of those very briefly. B for body. It's literally like doing a little x-ray of yourself. Have you found that when you're maybe doing something, maybe on the computer, whatever it is you're doing, if you just suddenly stop, you think, oh, actually, I've slumped in my chair, I've scrunched my neck, I haven't blinked. You just check your body. Am I sitting on my sitting bones? Just give yourself a body check in that absolute moment. How is it? E for emotions. Now, emotions, I have a very picture type mind. Sorry about that, and I'll explain it. You can take it if you want. If you don't like it, you don't have to. So in my mind, there's a very big, long corridor. And on one side of the corridor are lots of doors, and they have all the negative emotions. Grumpy, angry, sad, this, that, and the other. But on the other side are all the positive emotions, being happy, content, peaceful, playful, mischievous, you name it, they're all there. Now, what's really fun is to take time when you're standing in a line at Mr. Tesco to furnish those rooms. How would they smell? What would you do? What would they be like? Just make those marvelous rooms to go in. So if you should, when you do your E check, find that you've gone into the Mr. Grumpy room, you stop and think, in the Mr. Grumpy room, is this helping me to do whatever it is I'm doing at the moment? And I can guarantee you the answer is no. So what I do is, in my mind, I stand up, I think, thank you, Mr. Grumpy, we're going to leave you behind. I walk out, I go into the corridor, and I think, for what I am doing now, what would be the best beingness for me? Would it be to be very articulate, to be very interested? Would it to be to listen well? How do I need to be? And so you go into that room and you become that. Next is action, the A for action. And this is a little bit, it's rather like somebody sending an email when everything is good, somebody sending an email when they're cross. So we waste a lot of energy when we are not using our energy properly for the well-being. So just check yourself. Now, the minute you're sitting there, so you're all going to be nice and calm. But normally, this is if you're going into a meeting or maybe something that's a little difficult for you. You just check, how are my actions? How am I walking? And finally, T for thought. And the T for thought here is that little chi voice. Is he helping you or is he undermining you? What is he doing? That chitter-chatter that's going on inside your head. So it's to tune into it and say, what is it doing? Now, what I'm actually going to do is to blend the 2 minutes together, because the second minute in this now section is to choose to change anything you need to. And so quite honestly, I normally check and change in one go. So I'll do B body, oh my gosh, my shoulders are a little stiff. And right then and there, I just take care of it. My emotion, if I found I'm in a Mr. Grumpy room, whoop, I'm out, and I'm in the better emotional room. Action, I think, how was I doing what I was doing? Was it gracious and flowing and lovely? And if it was, fine, and if not, I try and make it more so. And the thoughts. Now, I often, again, here's my little picture. I have on one shoulder a chi who undermines. And on the other shoulder, I have a chi who is my, are you ready for this? My cheerleader. You can boo, it's okay. My husband says, don't say that. Sorry, Bob. Anyway, so there we go. So what I suggest you do is check B body, do you want to change anything? E emotions, are you where you wish to be emotionally? Actions, that really is quite a minor one. T thoughts, listen to the one that is helping you. And this one say, thank you for sharing, but I really don't want to listen to your negative chit-chat. This is the one that helps me. So I'm going to give you a minute to just check and do a little shift if you need to fix your beat. Any questions before we go into that? Is that all right? Okay, here comes your beat. Sorry? Okay. Sadness is a different thing, and I'll actually come to that in a minute. Good question. And you don't want to force yourself. But it is, if it is sadness, and if it is appropriate to be sad, and there are times when it is, it's maybe to look at, can you soften it so it's not hard, jagged sadness, but softer, maybe more comforting. So you might look at somewhere in the positive emotion that would nurture you, love you, care for you, hug you. A snuggly room might be a lovely place to go. So you might take your sadness, but put yourself in somewhere that you know is helping you. Does that kind of help a little bit? We can chat more. Okay? Any more? All right. So now do your beat. Starting off B-E-A-T. We'll do it in 1 minute starting now. And there we are. Now your beat, rather like the breath that I introduced you to at the very beginning, is one of those that I keep right in my pocket for any moment. So any moment you suddenly find yourself in a difficult situation, something turns nasty, whatever it might be, check immediately your beat and get the reins of control back. Select, where do I want to be most helpfully for my emotion? What are the thoughts that would be most constructive to help me in this time? And you can do it like that. I mean, because I'm teaching and explaining, it takes a bit longer. But it's yours now, and you can just go, boomf. Check your body, check your emotions, check how you're moving, check your thoughts, make them be what you want in the now. Because it's the only time when you can do it, you can't go back and change it. So it's really important to keep that one right at your fingertips so you use it whenever you need. Now we're in the final quarter, the last two, which is where we go to the future. And 2 steps again, as always. The first one is planning ahead for 24 hours. And this is crucial, and I have a little add-on story with my recent thing to tell you about. But the power of your brain for thinking about what's going to happen majorly affects your body. So I should tell you that for quite a long time, I lived in Florida, and I had a big garden and a gorgeous lemon tree. It had lemons. I mean, I am given to exaggeration, but this is truly how big they were. Juicy. And I had a big lawn, and I'd be cutting the grass, sweating because it would be hot, hot, hot. And I'd pick one of those lemons off the tree, warm from the sun, and I'd roll it between my hands so you'd get that lovely lemony smell. And I'd take my thumb and I'd through the skin, and I would squeeze and drink the lemon juice. Now, are any of you having little things going on in your mouth? Do you notice? I have no lemons. So the power of your thought of a lemon, because you know lemon, makes your entire physiology respond as if you had a lemon. See how powerful our thoughts are? That's just one silly little example. So, a month ago, I get news that they can do my hip. Now, I have got to this very old age, and I've never been in hospital, and I've never had an operation, and I had no idea what I was getting into. Added, my darling husband and family were in Australia, and I said, you've got to go, there's no question, I'm all on my own. And I thought, right, okay, here we go. And I thought, this future planning is really important, because I'd seen people worry, excuse me, worry about, get really anxious, get really frightened. And I thought, that's not going to help. That's just not going to help. So I must admit, I did my mind chi twice, sometimes 3 times a day. And the minute any little teeny negative niggle came into my head, I did this 1 minute of future planning. And I thought, now what is the right thing? What's the best thing for me? Well, it is to have great faith in our medical profession. It is to know that they want me to be as well as fast as they can. It is to be curious about what's going on. It is an adventure. I love adventures. Oh, I go on lots of adventures. It's an adventure. It's a new adventure. It's to keep my sense of humor. It's to be open and receptive to all the wonderful things that could and would happen. And it is to see me healing and being well as fast as possible. And so that was what I played over and over and over and over in my head. Ta-da! End of the story. So I went through it. Even the man who was trying to put me out, I said, can I watch? Because they gave me a spinal so I could still be conscious. And he said, you won't see anything because there's a big and they make a lot of splash. Anyway, moving right along. So the power of this, I knew how powerful it was. I have had a new appreciation of how powerful this is. So if you've got something coming up that you're feeling a little anxious about, please do this. So what you just do is think, what do I have to do in the next minute, in the next 24 hours? And how should I be? What is the best being state to get me through what I have to do? And again, because the minutes are marching on a little bit, I'm going to blend and give you 30 seconds for that and 30 seconds for the final of the 8 minutes, which is gratitude. Just to think about all the things that we have that we can be grateful for. And what this does is through the entire day, it makes you a lot more aware of all the little things that people might do, the little grin you might have with a stranger, somebody stops to pick something up for you, all those wonderful little things you just add into this moment of gratitude, because they've shown that gratitude helps to bolster our immune system and makes us feel happy and lets us look for the good things rather than the bad. So the final minute for us now will condense. 30 seconds will be on thinking from now for the next 24 hours forward, how do I wish to be for what I have to do? And then I will tell you when 30 seconds is up, and then you'll have 30 seconds of gratitude. So, starting now. 30 seconds, now gratitude. And time is up. And since gratitude is the last one, I often hang on that one for a little while longer and just enjoy it because it's really lovely. So that's it. Those are the 8 steps, the 4 quarters, the 8 steps. It is really easy. You can do it anywhere. It is now yours. All you need to do is just to be aware of how you're functioning and have skills that can help you be as good as possible. If you send me an email, I'll be very happy to give you a link into my website that is me teaching you these steps over again, and then there's another one where it's actually timing you. Now, I set you the challenge. It's just 8 minutes a day, time it takes to make and drink a cup of tea. And if you will just say, you've made this commitment of time, I so appreciate you coming, take and do it for the next 28 days. That begins to set for you a new neurological pathway. It actually takes 6 months for it to get really hardwired, but within 28 days, it's become a beginning habit. And then take your questionnaire again and see whether it's made any possible positive difference. There's also a tracker which I can send you so you can keep track of what's happening over there. And the thing is just to start each day and to say, I'm just going to do this just for today. The formula E plus R equals O, you probably know this. An event occurs. It might be that your tire flattens itself, somebody gets cross with you, you miss a bus, you feel the money's tight, but you always have the ability to choose your response. And that means that you control the outcome, at least for yourself. And that's what is crucial. The reins of control. I want you to feel, regardless of what's happening, you've got those reins of control. After you've done the 28 days, in the book, and there are some down at the bookshop, and I will zip there for the coffee break and happily give you an autograph if you want. 28 days, after the 28 days, there's 50 different strategies that you may want to look at that you can just slightly direct your mind chi to help you achieve a goal or to overcome a problem. And I think we've just got, because we're getting quiet, just for me to say a little story about me, and then we'll have some questions, and then we're ready to wrap. About 0506, I had one of those times, and I think many of you here probably have as well, and I'm telling you the story so that this ties in with your question a little bit. Had one of those times when everything that I thought was my life suddenly was whipped away. So I'd built up a global company with a wonderful team of people over the past 22 years, and I had an aggressive takeover where they just took the company away from me. It forced me into liquidation, so I had to say goodbye to 22 years worth of family, literally they had become, to everything that we'd gone from a little second-hand office and a second-hand desk to some nice equipment and a big nice office. Yeah, it's worth about £5, they'd say, write it off, write it off. At the same time, my only relative, my mother, who I looked after, died. And at the same time, my companion that I thought was going to be with me through life decided to go. His secretary called and said my clothes were left at the local hotel. So everything, suddenly gone. And on top of that, I was having a birthday with an O. That kind of focuses, doesn't it? Always focuses you when you get those birthdays with an O. So I was like, whew, wow. And the thing about it was, and this comes back to your question, there's a time when it's right to be sad. There's a time when it's right to be angry. But the important thing is to know that you won't stay there. Anger and sadness are just an energy. And they can fuel us. They can fuel us to see things, to open doors, to do things, to be people that we weren't before. What is it they say? Nature loves a vacuum. I bet you've heard that it abhors it. But nature loves a vacuum because what does it do? It makes things rush in. So here I was with all of the things of my life moved, and this birthday. And this little throwaway thing came through the paper saying, we need people to raise money for our local hospital who will climb Mount Kilimanjaro. I thought, and it was on my 60th birthday. So I thought, by jigger, that's what I'm going to do. I didn't own boots. I'd never hiked, I've never climbed, I'd never done any of these things, but I'm going to climb Mount Kilimanjaro for my 60th birthday. So I did. There was only 6 of us, and for all the time it took going up the mountain, I was walking behind this gentleman's derriere. You get kind of fond of something like that after a while. So we get there, we get to the very top. Those of you who know about it know there's the first ridge, but then there's another 2.5 hours to get to the gold certificate top place. Got right to the gold certificate, came down. And after you've gone through something like that, it gives you a different perspective on what humans can do, on what our limitless abilities are. It's just incredible. It also gives you a bond with those people because they have seen you at your worst of worst. And, you know, if they can still love you at your worst of worst, then you can only go good places after that. Well, you can kind of guess a little bit that that gorgeous derriere ended up being a friend. The friend moved into a husband. So I suddenly ended up with a husband. He came as a package with 3 children. I now have a family. He has brothers and sisters. I've got an enormous family. At the same time, we were writing the Mind Chi book. And out of the blue, it was a program, and out of the blue, a friend says, I'm a commissioning editor for Capstone. I remember you as a creative person. Have you a book you'd like published? If there's some authors out there, I bet, who are going, what? Yes, I have. So I said 10 at any given moment. Give me the titles. Picked 3. Picked this one. So suddenly, from this, what appeared to be vacuum of nothing, it allowed to come in the happiest, best, most beautiful life that I have had. And it's because you know that you will get up one more time, then they'll knock you down. And that's what I want you to have. That's what I want you to leave with. Now, Grace is going to help me because, excuse us a moment. Excellent. Are you ready, Grace? We do this together. Yes. With the vestige in us that we have, we pronounce that you are now resilient, joyful warriors. Go ye forth and be resilient and joyful. Thank you very much indeed.
Thank you, Vanda North.